one of my first teaching experiences that I had as a missionary was in my first area in the city of Brno. We were in a threesome, and one of my companions had set up this meeting with this man, but as me and my other companion had the lesson with him, he was doing some calls just to be efficient, what we thought to be efficient. We were on the lesson was held on the main square, the main town square, in kind of a little cafe setting. So it wasn't the most spiritually conducive place. I didn't understand what was going on. All I remember is that the man we were teaching was wearing like a little crystal around his neck, and he was drinking beer during the lesson. So I was like, this is going nowhere. And it was a long lesson too, an hour, so I was depressed by that too. But we ended the lesson. He went his way, we went our way, and a couple weeks passed. And then the other companion, who was not at the lesson with us, called him again and set up another meeting with him. And we were like, why did you do that? It was a terrible lesson. It wasn't going anywhere. And so we had another lesson with him, and this time it was on a bench in a park. So slightly more conducive to the Spirit. But he had brought with him a huge list of the beliefs that he had. And he was just reading to us and teaching us about his beliefs. And we were like, this is not what we're supposed to do. And I was disappointed with that lesson as well. But at the end of the lesson, one of my companions turned to him and just invited him to church. And he says, well, I might come. Kind of a flaky answer. So we're like, okay, we're never seeing him again. Thank goodness. Sunday rolls around. Church was at 9. It's probably about 8:55, and we get a call from him, and he says he's coming, but he's going to be a little bit late. So we're like, oh no, what we do? We didn't even plan for him. We don't have a member to sit next to him or anything. And my other two companions were preoccupied with other investigators or members at that point. So we're like, Elder Gabrielson, you have to go sit by him and talk with him. And I was like, this is my first transfer. He talks fast. I don't understand him. But he came in. I was a little scared of him. But we went to church. He enjoyed it. And as we continued to teach him after that, there was a change in him. He realized God was leading him. And he opened himself to reading the Book of Mormon, to accepting a baptismal date. And about a month and a half later, he was baptized, and was a very faithful member for a long time. And I mean, I guess that's kind of one of the disappointments of missionary work, that you kind of get to see people go in and out. And sadly, at this point in time, he's kind of turned away from the gospel, which is sad to me. It hurts, but I guess I can find comfort in the fact that we were there at that moment when he needed us, and I believe that God leads him. And maybe his path is just a little bit more, not crooked, but more adventurous. I know he has other things to learn, other places. But that was my first experience with teaching and with baptizing.